Hey guys, I hope everyone's had a great week. Uh, it was a good week. The Marine Corps birthday was this week. Veterans Day was this week. So if you get a chance, take the time to thank a veteran for protecting the freedoms that we all hold dear, right? If only our current politicians would start doing a little bit more to protect our freedoms instead of trying to destroy them, it seems. Not all of them. I hate to put them all in one category. There are some good guys and gals up there that are trying to do a good job, but they're really fighting against a system that's just completely corrupt. We all know that. Uh, I had a question sent to me this week. Actually, a couple of questions. So I want to address that first. That may be all that we get to tonight. I'm not sure. And by the way, if any of you guys have any questions, please send them in. Send us a text. It doesn't have to be during the broadcast. You can send them in anytime during the week. I check it daily, and I'll do my very best to answer the questions, the best way I can. Uh, but Daryl wants to know what I think about the government forcing its will on the people with these vaccine mandates. Second part of his question, and will there be some long-term irreversible side effects because of it? Now, I've been pretty clear on how I feel about the government forcing the people to do anything. If you've listened to this, just to give you a little background real quick, we actually started doing this on the Westside Baptist Church site, and we changed over to the Today's Topics page. So a lot of this stuff I've went over, and you have to forgive me, I'll forget, because we've been doing it for a year or two now. But some of these topics were discussed previously. But I have a real problem with the government forcing people to be injected with a shot that will not keep you from catching the virus. Let me go over this again before some of you accuse me of being an anti-vax fanatic, which I am not. A little history, which I love. Edward Jenner created the first vaccine in 1796. It was developed and used in 1798, and it was for smallpox. Smallpox was globally eradicated by 1979. The cowpox, then the smallpox virus, was used to create the vaccine. Okay? That's where it all started. That's where it came from. They used the actual virus to create the vaccine, okay? Hence, the definition of vaccine is this, according to Mr. Webster and the Oxford people. Both dictionaries agree on this. The definition is a substance used to stimulate the production of antibodies and provide immunity against one of several diseases prepared from the causative agent of a disease, end quote. That's the definition of a vaccine. A vaccine provides immunity. That means you cannot catch what it is they're trying to keep you from catching, right? And it's made from the actual disease. That's the definition of a vaccine. That's why if you've been listening to me, you've heard me say that for months, that this does not meet the definition. And that's why I keep saying that, because it does not. This shot they're forcing on people does not do either one. Now, this COVID shot is called mRNA. Okay, that's the type of vaccine it is, mRNA. Now, that stands for messenger ribonucleic acid. That's what that stands for. The CDC website, our government website, right? The CDC website says, quote, it teaches our cells how to make a protein that will trigger an immune response inside our bodies. Did you catch that? It tells our cells what to do, right? Now, this next part I'm going to read is straight off the Moderna website. Quote, mRNA is a single-strand molecule that carries genetic code from DNA in a cell's nucleus to ribosomes, which is the cell's protein-making machinery. Still quoting now. mRNA medicines are sets of instructions And these instructions direct cells in the body to make proteins to prevent or fight disease. End quote. So this COVID shot does not meet the definition of a vaccine. We've established that without any argument. And what it does is it makes our bodies on the cellular level change and adapt to it. It's just what it does. That's in plain English, right? That's why it doesn't always work properly. You know, all of our bodies are different. Everybody's a little different. Johnson & Johnson was using aborted babies for the DNA that they needed to try and make this work. You remember that. I talked about it in depth. Johnson & Johnson is the one that was using cell lines from aborted fetal tissue, they call it. Well, it was from murdered babies to make this mRNA vaccine. So when you're forcefully injecting a foreign substance into the body that is designed to interact with our DNA on the cellular level, that goes way beyond getting a measles vaccine, right? That's why so many people have a problem with this, because this is something that we have never seen before. A lot of people have gotten these shots and seem to have no side effects, and that's awesome. That's a good thing. And if you're at high risk, if you're immune compromised, or if you have a lot of these health issues, then it may very well be to your best benefit to try to take it. You just need to know what you're taking. You need to know what this is. You need to know the definitions and know what's going on. But like I said, it may very well be that you need to take it. It may be a good thing for you. Something else that you need to know. A lot of people have gotten serious side effects and serious reactions to this. As I'm going to give you facts. That's all we do on here. I'm not trying to influence anybody or have you do anything. I want to give you facts, and you make an informed decision and do what you need to do. That's the problem, is that most of the time we're not given facts. We're given a narrative. We're being told what we should do, what we should think. And that's not what I'm going to do on here. I want to give you facts. You make an informed decision for you and your family. Some more facts, right? This is another government website that anybody can find. It's called VAERS, V-A-E-R-S, but what that stands for is the United States Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. Anybody can look it up. Anytime there's some adverse reactions to stuff, it has to go here. Okay? So this lady who is she has a doctorate in research in biology at the Israeli Institute of Technology. And her name is Jessica Rose. So she used the data that was on this government website. That's not in debate. That's what she did. And her partner was a guy named Matthew Crawford, who is a professional statistician. I didn't know that was such a thing. That's what he is. And they put all these numbers together, and they did all this work, right? Now, their research shows that 150,000 Americans have died after getting the shot. You can look that up. The FDA said that they disagree with their findings. That's what they said. They said the researchers were not reading the statistics correctly. That's what the FDA said. Now, all the FDA and CDC will admit to at this time is an increased chance of blood clots. That's all that they'll admit to. Interestingly, after Ms. Rose and Mr. Crawford came out with these stats and started making it public and making people aware, the FDA offered no explanation of how those statistics should be interpreted. That's from Reuters. You can look that up. So all the government did was they came out and they said, well, you guys aren't reading these stats right. And they said, well, okay, how should we read them? Crickets. Nothing. That's why people have such a problem. I believe that if someone wants to get the shot, then God bless you. Please take it. You should be comfortable and be informed and happy with your decision. But in no way should this be forced on anyone that does not want to take it. Nothing about this makes sense. Nothing. This has got to be spiritual warfare, people. There's no way around it because nothing about it makes sense. Why are they forcing this on people when it may kill you? It has. May not, but it may. And there is zero guarantee that it'll keep you from getting the virus. It's called breakout viruses or breakaway, ever how they want to say it. But what it is when someone has had this vaccine, then they come in contact with the virus, they can still catch the virus, and it mutates because it has to adapt to what this stuff has done to you on the cellular level. And it adapts, and that's where we get these variants from, okay? So there's no guarantee that it keeps you from catching the virus. Now, California has mandated, I guess you saw that this week, that every child 5 years old and up has to take it. Mandated. Government has no legal or moral right to force this on people. That's my opinion. That's answering the question that I was asked. Government has no right to do this, but they are doing it. So, if you are forced to take this shot in order to keep your job, or in order to go to school, or whatever, you should make your employer, this is in my opinion, you should make your employer sign a document that says they will take full responsibility and they are fully liable for any and all adverse reactions. I think that we all should do that. Have a form made out and make them sign it. That whatever happens, they're liable because they're forcing this on you. And their answer is going to be, well, no, you can quit. We're not forcing it. So it's going to be an uphill struggle. It really is. I believe this is complete government overreach, and people should come together just like the Southwest airline pilots did. They put a stop to this foolishness at Southwest. When all the airline pilots walked off, and 20,000 flights were canceled or delayed, the Southwest executives came back and said, you know what? We're not going to mandate this. We changed our mind out of the goodness of our heart. Yeah, they did. That's how you get something done, when people come together and stick together and put their foot down. Say, we're just not going to do this. There are some pockets of resistance around the nation. Right now, there's over 24 states that have filed lawsuits to stop this mandate that Biden just said again would be enforced by OSHA on January the 4th. I talked about this in a previous broadcast about the astronomical fines that they're going to put on people if they don't obey. So with, I think it's 26 states now that have filed lawsuits to stop it. And Newsmax reports that 23 different labor unions have filed a complaint in Cook County, Illinois Circuit Court against Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot's COVID vaccine mandate. Now, those of us that are in a union have a binding federal contract, and I hope that they use the argument that this mandate would be seen as a way for the company to break our contract by union busting, because that's what I'm going to use. That's all I can say, is that if and when this is forced on us at our company, you may see me on the news, because this will get filed. And to answer the second part of the question, will there be any long-term side effects? Well, that's an easy answer. Nobody knows. No one knows what the long-term side effects are going to be behind this. It hadn't been here long enough. Who knows? We're still in the guinea pig stage, if you had to ask me. Washington Post. Surely you've seen this. If not, please go look it up. The Washington Post reports, several other places, but a guy named Eric Rubin, he works for the FDA. He's actually an FDA advisor. He said on October the 27th, when asked about giving the shot to kids as young as 5, the reporter was asking him, hey, should we do this? Should we give this to kids as young as 5? Well, guess what? There were 17 of them that voted on this FDA panel. It was 17 to nothing. They voted 17 to 0 to give this to these kids. Listen to his statement after that vote. Quote, we're never going to learn about how safe this vaccine is unless we start giving it. End quote. So what he said was, We don't really know what this is going to do to 5-year-olds. We have to give it to them so we can find out what it's going to do to them. That's what he said. That's not uh, being a conspiracy theorist. That's not trying to find something. That's just what the man said. We are all just test subjects, and that's the truth. Because they don't know. He said it. We don't know what the long-term effects are. We don't know what it's going to do. When you start messing with the DNA and the individual cells of people, you have no clue about long-term side effects. None. And the pharmaceutical companies just keep getting richer and richer. Have you looked at the profits that they've made so far in the first half of this year? Billions upon billions that they've made. When you think that you're going to get this free shot, well, it may not cost you anything, but the government is paying these pharmaceutical companies for this medicine. So, yeah, the pharmaceutical companies is shocking the money that they're making right now. There's a report on Bloomberg where Moderna is having to defend itself as more and more questions arise on heart risk after taking the shot. You might want to look that up. The Hill has a story titled, Biden's illegal vaccine mandate is about politics, not science. I might have to agree with them. And there is a lot of people that are now starting to buck this trend. A lot of people are fighting back against it. That's what it's going to take, people. It's going to take numbers. It's going to take a lot of people. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that you agree or disagree. If you disagree with this, it's because you don't want to hear the facts. I'm just giving you the truth, facts right here. The point should be not necessarily as much the vaccine as it is the government overreach forcing you to do something to your body. That should be the problem that we all come together on. Because what's next? It's the vaccine now. What is it going to be in a few months? We ought to think about that. Some of these lawsuits and complaints will be heard in the next few weeks, so we'll see how it goes. I don't have any idea. Who does? We'll see what happens. But if I had to guess, as you've heard me say on here before, I'd say that we've entered the Romans chapter 1 society, and I think that things are going to get crazier and more oppressive and more oppressive, is what I think. I hope I'm wrong. I pray every day that I'm wrong about that. I hope I answered your question, Daryl. I hope I did. Thanks for the input. I really appreciate it. I wish more people would do that. Send us some questions. Send us your opinions. But one bit of good news I want to touch on is, remember the infamous, totally switching gears here, but remember the infamous Steele dossier that was used as evidence against Trump? Supposed to be that he was colluding with the Russians, right? They had this document that proved he was colluding with the Russians, and they were doing all this stuff to try to win the election and illegally take the election from Hillary, if you remember all that about the Steele dossier. Well, it's the report they used, and they did impeach him. He didn't win, but the guy behind it all has now been arrested for fabricating and lying about the whole thing. A guy named Danchenko, he's been charged with lying. There's just several charges, but he and Charles Dolan, who worked for the Clintons, imagine that, they made it all up. They've admitted it, and I can't believe the FBI actually arrested them, but they did. They're out on bond because they're loaded with money that probably came from the Clinton Foundation, if I had to guess. But every bit of this was completely fabricated, made up, and they just drugged this man through the ditch for 4 years on something that was a fabricated lie. When you hear Trump say fake news, you have to agree with him. It turns out everything he kept saying was right. Fox News has a great story on it. You guys should look it up about Danchenko and the fake Steele dossier. Something else that we need to be made aware of. The Blaze Network reports a Black Lives Matter leader is vowing that there will be riots, fire, and bloodshed if the new mayor of New York reinstitutes the anti-crime unit. Quote, we will make his time as mayor a nightmare. You have to remember now, this new mayor in New York is a former policeman. I think it was like 30 or 35 years he served on the force, and he said he's going to bring back the anti-crime unit. He said, I am going to put a stop to this foolishness. It doesn't make any difference, but he happens to be a black guy, and he is not going to put up with this Black Lives Matter stuff destroying his city. So this may get very interesting in New York in the next few months. We'll have to watch and see what they do. But I know I'm aging myself. This is a little bit totally off topic, but who remembers the blue light specials that Kmart used to have, right? I remember it vividly as a kid, walking down through the aisles, and they'd have this blue light, and it would go to flashing. So wherever you go where that blue light was, there was this tremendous sale there for a few minutes, and they'd move the blue light. But I remember the blue light specials. It's kind of sad because Kmart announced this week that they'll be closing all but 6 stores by the end of the year. Kmart's going out of business. Said they had 2,100 stores in 2002. That's amazing. But the online shopping and different stuff just put them out of business. So times change, don't they? Everything changes. It's like I tell people all the time, our lives are like books, and they're written in chapters. So when you get through with one chapter, you got to be able to turn the page and go to the next one. You just got to be able to do that. You got to be able to adapt. Let me leave you with a verse real quick. Isaiah 40, verse 8. When you think about things changing, when you think about, how things just seem to be going crazy and changing every day, remember this verse, Isaiah 48. The grass withereth, the flower fades, but the word of our God shall stand forever. So we can trust in this book. We can trust in it. We can believe it. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you for the question again. By all means, y'all try to go to church Sunday and keep reading your Bible, guys. Thanks.